Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm KA and I'm joined by Luke. How you doing, Luke?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. We are, to those of you who don't know, we are from Milky Tea, the developers of HyperBrawl Tournament, which is of course what we are playing today. So this video is kind of different from other stuff we've done in the past. You might have seen that we've been talking about specifically about a sort of a theme on social media, on our newsletter, on Steam this week. That's all about how to play HyperBrawl, so the very basics of how the game works. And this video will be part of that, like part that and part us, having a good time and just talking about what's going on in the world. Although, focused on video games wherever we can. So I think with that, Luke, let's jump into some very essentials for HyperBrawl. And I think the best way to do that is probably to jump into the actual trials, right? So that's the first
Yeah,
thing
let's do that.
doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was starting this stream off with a bit more of an advanced tactic, which is I'm trying to bounce the ball off the wall and then kick it into the goal. But
Right.
that's reserved for masters. That is not taught in the trials.
Maybe we'll pull it off eventually and we'll show it off on social if we actually manage to do it.
Let's see. I can't do it right now. So maybe I need to go through the trials to practice.
Yeah,
Let's go do
see
it.
if you can up your skills a bit. So obviously, to those that haven't played HyperBrawl before, the very first thing you do, you're introduced to kind of the lore and the setting of the world, and then you're thrust directly into the trials. So that's, I think this. Should we skip the intro cinematic itself? We're going to be talking more about lore in the future.
Yeah.
So I think we're just going to jump into the trials themselves, get into some gameplay. And yeah, this is the first thing you'll be playing when you first put up the game. It'll basically teach you how to play. So we're just gonna, Luke is gonna walk us through that, or kind of show us how it's done.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll
we'll
try.
even see how it isn't done, depending on how well it does.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
So yeah, the trials kind of progressively become a little bit more advanced. Teach you how to throw the ball, how to HyperCurve, how to pass the ball, how to swap teammates, so you swap from one player to the other on your team. All that good stuff.
I mean, so this is just the basic trials right now. So it just kind of it literally takes you through the basics and kind of the core things that you need to know in order to play HyperBrawl. But obviously, the most core thing to HyperBrawl is scoring a goal. So no matter what the particular challenge or trial is, it always ends with you need to score a goal, because if you can't do that, you can't play HyperBrawl essentially.
Yeah, regardless of how much you brawl or how good you get at that, if you can't score, you're not going to win. You might end up drawing, or you might end up in a very long sudden death. And if you've been keeping an eye again on our social media channels, you might know what I'm referring to. If you haven't, go look on our Twitter account at HyperBrawl and see what I mean. But yeah, sudden death can become less sudden if you end up in a draw, and neither of you know how to score a goal. So learn that first and foremost, for sure. Right. So here we're looking at some of the weapons here, and how can you talk us through how that works? Maybe some of the differences, because obviously there's a lot more to these weapons than what we're seeing here in the first trial.
Yeah, for sure. So so in the trial, it's only kind of teaching you the basics of just one of the weapons, which is the swords, which is a kind of, oh, look at these guys, they're kind of doing a bit of a piggy in the middle. Piggy in the middle kind of deal. That's not, that shouldn't be part of the challenge of the game. But
social distancing.
Exactly. Well, that's what it is. Yeah, that's part of the challenge. So right now it's just teaching me how to use the sword, but as I say, there are multiple weapons in the game. They're not all just defense based. There are defensive weapons like the shield, or even more tactical weapons like the mag glove, which allow you to steal the ball from the midair. But yeah, for the sake of these basic trials, it's going to kind of just teach you how to use a weapon in general, which is you're going to press the weapon button, which on Xbox controller is RB, and you're going to use it. And that's essentially the same for all the weapons, but they all do have different uses. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess in essence, the first trials, the basic trials, are just as much about teaching you the controls as they are about teaching you the features. So yeah, it is literally like this button does this, and this is how it's used. But obviously, it kind of reserves the more advanced and I guess proper use for the later trials, and for you to kind of find out as you explore the wider game.
Yeah.
So here we are on HyperForce. So how does the HyperForce work?
Oh, I should retry it because I jumped through that so quickly. So the way the HyperForce works is if you take so much damage in the game, which you will do because the game's about brawling each other and kicking and punching each other in the face, and if you've been kicked and punched enough times, you're gonna accumulate HyperForce, and once you have your HyperForce meter full, you can activate it like so, which will essentially hit you with a lightning bolt of HyperForce, and you're essentially superpowered now. So you can run faster. You're so much stronger. You can insta kill enemies, either with this super cool roundhouse kick, or you can actually pick them up and throw them in the air. And if you're super lucky, you can actually sometimes throw the characters towards the camera, which is one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, it is one of the best things. Again, that I've said this before on our previous streams and stuff, but that thunk it says when the character hits the screen, glorious,
satisfying.
But yeah, so the HyperForce is essentially like a tool to help you even the odds. So if you're in a situation where you're taking a beating, it will literally help you offset that by now making you superpowered, so you can kind of bring the fight to your opponent.
Yeah.
Right, so we're on to the final trial here in the initial ones, which is probably the most important one, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's it's definitely the. Oh my god, it's the most important one, and I'm sucking at this super bad. Yeah, it's definitely the skill which sorts the men from the boys. HyperCurve. Wow, look, I'm obviously a man. I passed her.
Congratulations.
I'm so manly. But yeah, essentially HyperCurve is. I mean, maybe I'll quickly jump into some free play to show HyperCurve off a little bit. But essentially, it's the ability to control the ball mid-air using a right stick or controller, or using a mouse and keyboard. Yeah, and essentially it's like a superpower where you can literally guide the ball like a guided missile in kind of whatever direction you want to an extent. Because different characters have different throw control essentially. And it's also based on how hard you actually throw the ball. So if I throw it super hard like this, I've barely got any control. I just had enough control to totally miss that goal.
To miss.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess obviously the more power means the ball travels faster, which might be good if you've got a straight shot at the goal. But because the ball flies so quickly, you don't have enough time to do much with it in terms of hypercurving.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas, of course, like you were about to say, I'm sure that if you throw very slowly, then you'll have plenty of control and be able to do all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, like I'm kind of showing off here a little bit. Ready?
Yeah.
So I can throw it up there, and I can totally miss the goal and make a show of myself.
But this is why we're in the trials.
Exactly. Yeah, it's super useful.
Yeah. So should we? So I guess now we've seen and talked a bit about the very basics. Reckon we should jump into the advanced trials and kind of see if we're up for the challenge.
Let's give that a go. Yeah. So the advanced trials. Go on. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like I mentioned, the trials is where everyone is gonna start, and obviously whether you go into the advanced trials or jump straight into co-op with your friends or play online, it's entirely up to you. But there's certainly stuff to be learned, as we'll see here. If you jump into advanced first.
So let's start at the beginning.
I see you've been practicing ahead.
Exactly.
One of them was done.
3 stars. Yeah, so I really like the advanced trials because it's not just another kind of tutorial mode. It's essentially almost like a mini game in itself, because the point is to try and accumulate as much. Oh, there we go. There was a little glimpse at the. Oh, and 2 in a row. It's never before been seen. I don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah. So the advanced trials are kind of like a score-based mini game where you want to try and get as many points as you can, and if you get so many points, you get out of 3 stars essentially.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of a fun thing to do, actually. Look at this! Everyone's getting thrown towards the cameras today. It's also like actually a fun game to play with friends as well. Actually, I find, because essentially you want to try and outscore your friends.
Yeah, so I guess it's outscoring without actually necessarily just scoring. It just deepens, I guess, the challenge in a bit. It's a different way of playing.
Yeah. So you're learning whilst having fun, which is the best way to learn.
Exactly, very true.
2 stars, that was pathetic.
2 stars.
Oh, 50 points off, right. I'm getting those last 50 points, yeah.
Yeah, this is obviously because it is all about the stars and you only have so much time. It is all about not just being good and knowing how to do things, but do them effectively. So be quick to get around the arena. Be quick to aim and throw and score those goals.
Yeah.
Be quick to take out your opponents. Learn how all that functions. So
Exactly.
it's very much a learning by doing. A kind of almost a crash course in like really effectively using all your tools.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it's also one that easily shows which players are most easily distracted. Sometimes you're like, oh, I could brawl these guys for hours, but then you don't score. So like, maybe sometimes you want to focus on who has the ball and maybe don't do anything else, or kind of teach you to focus to get.
I'm very easily distracted, so this is a much needed practice.
So how many points did we need for
I think I've smashed it.
Nice.
I think because you did all the talking for me, I was able to. Oof. There we go.
Ooh, nice. No problem at all.
I should get 4 stars.
Right, pass and shoot. So yeah, again, teaching you here is less about the controls, but more about the kind of your gameplay choices.
Yeah, like this one, for example. Obviously, you did learn this in the basic tutorial, but it was more about actually just the function of passing and shooting, whereas in the advanced tutorial, it's kind of more about being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of this is literally teaching you how to think in terms of flanking your opponent, and making good use of the fact that you do have a 2-person team. Well, a 2-character team. You might be playing both of them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Exactly.
It's making the most of that.
Which we may see more of in a challenge in a moment. Changing characters. Maybe I've got that mistaken. We'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, but I mean, you might have seen it in the basic tutorial just before you do. I think just before you do go into the pass challenge, it actually gives you an option whether you want to play the game with the manual change character button. So you can just press X to if you're the only person on your team, you can actually change the character that you're controlling at that time manually if you wish, which gives you kind of a lot of tactical control over the match. Or you can also set it so that you change characters the second that one of your characters picks up the ball, essentially, which is also very useful for a lot of people who kind of don't want to have to focus on changing characters throughout the game. But my preference is to be able to do that manually, because I feel like it gives me a lot more kind of tactical control over whether I want to play as that character with the ball or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the ways where you can kind of dictate what kind of challenge you're looking for. So it's the same with other, like our campaign, for instance, where you can decide, you pick the difficulty level you want to play at. It's kind of a similar thing. We're here, like the like manually picking your characters or switching over is probably, I would say, a bit more advanced than auto changing. Because auto changing just takes away like one less thing to worry about. You're always in control of the ball, and that's it.
That's true.
So it kind of just adds another layer of challenge if you want to be in control of everything that happens at all times.
Just the kind of player I am.
We're kind of learning how to HyperCurve.
Again,
one of the important things, and one of the things that helps set HyperBrawl apart from similar type of sports games. Obviously, this is all about brawling as well, and weapons and all that cool stuff. But HyperCurve is really the thing, in my opinion, that makes it special, and that adds a lot of depth to the gameplay that you might not have experienced otherwise.
Absolutely. And in that, I'll just quickly play it again. In this specific game mode, you can also, it really shows off the what HyperBrawl is capable of, because you can kind of that was a pretty cool one. You can kind of see the placement of these these diamonds here that you need to smash, which get more complex as the challenge goes on. And they're in some of them are in really super awkward positions. So you really have to be able to master this power in order to kind of get the most points out of this challenge.
Yeah, and I guess the most goals in general when you're playing for real.
Exactly.
Nice. So let's see. What was your target here for this one? Something similar, like 2.5.
It was. Oh yeah, I think so. But I think my personal best is something. It might be like, I think it was close to 4,000, actually.
Right. So what's the actual tactic here? What you get most points for scoring, but so. Can you just spam the goal and ignore those if you're just going for points? You could if you want to, but you're only going to get 100 points for a goal on its own.
Whereas
Right.
if you manage to hit any of these diamonds, 4,000 points. There we go. If you manage to hit any of those diamonds before you get a gold, you're gonna get 200 points from that goal. So it's definitely worth it to definitely worth it to actually try and go for those HyperCurves.
Right. Okay. So no point in cheating. You should learn to curve. It's going to help you down the line, regardless.
You should absolutely learn to curve. Yeah. Cheaters never prosper, as an old wise man once said, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure that happened. Right, so what are we learning here? What are the other important tools?
Yeah, these are interceptions. So essentially, that is stopping the enemy from scoring their goals, and the best way of doing that is to use dive roll. So that is the ability to essentially roll in front of the ball, and it also mitigates any damage that you might take from a full powered shot.
Right.
So you kind of have to time it really well in order to, one, potentially save the ball, and two, potentially save yourself from getting knocked out instantly.
That scenario in particular, I tend to kind of call you're playing chicken with your opponent. Because sometimes you can kind of fake it. Like if you've got the ball you're about to throw at full force at someone, they might think, oh, is he gonna throw? Is he not gonna? And so you're trying to preemptively jump in front of that throw.
Exactly.
But sometimes you just don't do it quite at the right time, and then you get knocked out anyway.
Yeah.
So that's like a bit of a chicken, I guess, game of chicken with your opponent.
Yeah, for sure, exactly. Yeah. So
one that I usually lose. So here we're getting some actual weapon specifics here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of running through some of the more unique weapons, because obviously you talked about a lot of them were specifically offensive. So like hammer and the sword and that kind of thing are very specifically to knock out your opponent.
Exactly.
But not all of them. Some of them are maybe more tools than weapons.
Yeah, some of them are some of the kind of more unique weapons, I think, are ones where you're actually not doing any damage, and it's more about kind of optimizing your position on the battlefield or within the arena. Like this weapon, for example, the mag beam, which essentially can stop a shot from going into your goal from anywhere on the arena, and then
you're making me nervous by saving them so late. That's so close.
It's partly me trying to make it a bit dramatic, and partly me just trying to live on the edge.
Oh wow! So there we saw one that was like full power.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it basically flew way past the goal, but luckily it wasn't aimed very well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it can also really be dangerous if you want to live on the edge. This is the weapon to use, because it can also be dangerous, because if they've thrown a full power shot and you happen to be on the other side of the arena, if you mag beam that shot, that's a big elastic band essentially that's going to come snapping back towards you. So if you time that right, you can knock yourself out with a mag beamed ball,
or score an own goal. Because
exactly.
Again, the momentum stays. So if it's thrown at a certain momentum, it'll carry on, and then that might knock out yourself, your teammate, or score an own goal. All sorts of unintended results, certainly.
Exactly. Yeah. Some really fun results.
So we've got 2 weapons left. Let's see again. These are focusing on the weapons that are maybe less self-explanatory than the ones that just deal damage.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, grapple gun is essentially this is also an offense weapon, but it's kind of a bit more of
a troll in a way, I think.
It can be.
Because usually when I play online, I will expect, I'm way over here, I'm totally safe.
Exactly.
And then someone brings the grapple gun, and then I'm very much not safe.
Exactly.
Even though I'm far away. So it's a sort of it's a more, I guess it's a weapon that allows some more surprise attacks.
Yeah, for sure. It's also really useful because one of the kind of most useful tactics that you have as a player is that nobody can actually enter your Goldie. Like, say, I'm kind of like running against this Goldie here. So a lot of people use that to their advantage to kind of goal hang and try and save the ball. But the grapple hook is one of those few weapons which you can actually use to just go bing and pull them straight out of the Goldie and leave an open goal.
Nowhere is safe.
Nowhere is safe. Not against clever brawlers, for sure.
Yeah, so it just kind of emphasizes the importance of actually looking at your opponent, looking at their loadout, and kind of judging, okay, so they've got these tools, that means that I can utilize these strategies.
Yeah.
Because if you're used to hanging back and kind of staying in the goal, and like you pick a tank character and you kind of literally cover the whole goal, and thinking, oh, there's nothing they can do here to touch me, but you didn't realize they picked the grapple gun. Well, you might need a different strategy.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the that's just one of the many fun aspects of HyperBrawl is choosing a weapon in character select, and then your opponents see what weapon you've chose, so then they'll choose a different weapon, and then you'll choose a different weapon to try and counteract that.
Yeah, it's all part of it, like psychological warfare.
Absolutely.
Like, well, I pick this, you pick that. Good luck.
Exactly. There's
it kind of helps that even if you play the same person, if you just change your loadout, you're gonna have vastly different games. It just helps, it helps with replayability, and again, it means that even though you might lose against someone, if they pick whatever their favorites, their specific loadouts, if you kind of agree, okay, let's both pick something that we don't normally do, you might suddenly have the upper hand because it forces you to change your strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Also, obviously, opens up brand new playstyles that you may have not even considered, essentially, because you kind of step outside of your comfort zone.
And this is another one. We saw this one is one we had in our most recent beta as well. That people, it's very powerful. Obviously, the one thing to keep in mind with these, for people who haven't played this yet, one thing to keep in mind is that the cooldowns on these weapons are not this short normally. You're not able to knock someone out with these weapons every 2 seconds. Yeah. Thankfully, because that would just be like a fest, like just constant chaos.
Yeah, that'd be pretty OP.
Yeah, exactly. But still, like if used correctly, this turbo thruster is very powerful as well, and can easily knock out an entire opposing team if you use it correctly.
Exactly, and it's it's also another example of a weapon which kind of, you might not realize it, but it has, there's more to kind of mastering this weapon than meets the eye. So if I just retry this for a second, when I keep hold of the weapon button, you'll see that it kind of shows me what my path of destruction is going to be, essentially. And it's just as easy for me to kind of run up to a character and let go of the button here, and I'm going to go straight through them. But I've left the ball all the way back there, which in a real game, could be pretty dangerous, because either their teammate will pick up the ball, or it's essentially just out in the open.
And you're kind of wasting, because if it takes you 2 seconds to go run back to the ball, the opponent might have respawned in that time.
Exactly. So part of that is really optimizing that distance. So that, if you're really smart about it, probably one of the best things to do is to try and line the end of this path up to your opponent, essentially. So you're still going to destroy them, but you're also going to grab the ball at the same time because you've dropped exactly on their position.
Yeah, that's very true.
Again,
and that was another tactic that we saw employed quite a lot in the last beta, where people would let the opponent take the ball, but then fly through them, grab the ball, and then score, and now completely empty goal.
Yeah, that's one of the. I think one of our developers did figure that tactic out. They kind of kept it to themselves, so every so often, whenever we played, they pull out this magic trick, and where literally they had the ball, they'd throw the ball, use the turbo thruster to kill their opponents in the way, and then
you
their
lure
path
them into your path.
Exactly, and then because of the path, they would end up zooming back into the ball. So it was like a real 4D chess move. And then we noticed that when we started playing the betas, that a bunch of our players started doing the exact same tactic, which is really interesting. Like that people started picking up on these really powerful moves that we hadn't even initially intended pretty quickly.
Well, this is one of the reasons why all the player feedback we've received so far, both from the game on applique, but certainly from the PC betas we've run so far this year, is that there's always stuff that can be balanced, things that can be tightened even more. And so the player feedback kind of helps us in figuring out, is there something you overlooked? Is there something that's too powerful or not powerful enough?
Yeah.
Are there not enough counters to something, or are there too many? Whatever it might be, right? And so all that is extremely important. Anyway, I think we've done enough training. So I think we're going to be back in just a second with some actual blitz. So we're going to be playing online against each other. So see you in a bit.
See you in a moment.
Right, we're back. It's time to blitz. And obviously, you've just had some warm up in the trials, and I just had to look longingly at the arena, wanting to play. But now it's my turn. Unfortunately, usually my turn to lose, but still my turn to brawl as well.
Yeah, maybe we did that wrong. Maybe you should have played the trials.
Maybe I certainly need training more than you do. Right, so I'm gonna pick. Let's see. I like the fast characters, even though they get knocked out more easily. I am all for the swift.
Yeah, if you can outrun the fists, you should be okay.
I'll balance it out a bit and do a shade as well. Let's see here. Let's mag beam.
Okay, see, I'm gonna go for Sir Gallant, who is a tank character, so he's pretty slow, but I'm gonna pair him up with the speediest weapon in the game. So when I need to, I can boost him.
Good idea. I feel like I've already lost, and we're still in the menu. So obviously, you know, we're going to be playing a bit of Blitz now, but we're also moving away from, I guess, the teaching segment of the video. So we've told you guys how to play, and obviously I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but now you've had a refresher. So I think what we're going to talk about next is some of the stuff that's been happening with HyperBrawl lately. And part of that, I'm trying to talk while focusing on the game. So again, if I lose, or when, this will be my excuse.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
But obviously, one of the things you might have noticed if you've been following us on social is that we are currently looking to expand our ambassador program. And now this is a program that we launched years ago that gives a small number of players basically the opportunity to get some very exclusive rewards. And we've teased just a few days ago. We've teased what some of those rewards are. But we've got more to show in the weeks to come, so keep an eye on that. But essentially, we are planning to expand this program so more of you will have an opportunity to become ambassadors and unlock some of these very exclusive rewards. And they will be very exclusive, and there'll be no other way to get them. So another thing, obviously, we're doing currently is we're running a Gleam competition. So if you haven't yet seen it, jump on over to either Facebook or Twitter and or our website and find our Gleam competition where you could win a custom HyperBrawl controller. So all you have to do is complete one or more steps in the competition, and you're in for a chance to win. The competition ends when this week ends, so get in there and see if you can't get lucky. So I guess the final thing we've done recently is we did a survey, and obviously those of you who are subscribed to our newsletter, which all of you should be, by the way, we asked a bunch of questions, and out of that we've made some changes to our newsletter. So we're now extending out exclusive wallpapers with newsletters every week. So if you would like some exclusive stuff, a way to show off your affiliation, whether it's your favorite character or just show off your general interest in HyperBrawl, there's now a new way to do that. And obviously the newsletter in general will tell you all about the competitions that are going on. We'll show you some of our the videos we're working on, stuff like this will be in there. So again, I encourage anyone to sign up. There'll be links on our social channels or on our website for how to do that. Who benefits? So I think with all that housekeeping out of the way, I want to talk about something that I think everyone can relate to, Luke. And that is...
waffles.
I mean, yes. Now I'm just very hungry. But also, like, this whole, isolation thing. Like, we've all been stuck at home for months now. And obviously, to keep ourselves sane, we play a lot of video games. But what we also do is, new things maybe. So have you picked up any new hobbies or anything new fun that you're doing now that you're kind of forced to be at home and make the time pass?
Yeah, I mean, I've had this electronic keyboard sitting around my house for like the past couple. I think I got it for like a Christmas one year, and obviously like probably played one note and then walked away from it. I was like, okay, I'm bored of that. But yeah, this lockdown I've kind of been forced to. I thought, I'm gonna have to learn this thing, aren't I? So I've been learning some keyboard or piano, whatever you want to call it. Nice. I also then picked up a ukulele as well because my granddad.
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Why wouldn't you? Well, it's funny because my granddad had the ukulele, but he claims his fingers are too fat to hold it, so he's like, "Oh, Luke, you can have it." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool." So so I learned that as well. Yeah, so I've been very musically
inclined, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. A fun fact, actually. So when I was young, in my early teens, I actually played keyboard as well.
Nice.
And I took lessons and everything. And the reason for that is because I have, like, my family, my mother's side, they're all very musical. So, like, I have professional musicians in the family, and my cousin actually plays piano professionally for a living. And so that was super cool back then. He kind of taught me a bunch of stuff. But this is like 20 years ago, so.
Very cool. So how are you? Would you say you're a good piano player? Because I wouldn't say I'm good.
I am. I mean, this has been a long time, so I am terrible.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, let's jump into the next match.
Yeah.
Right, so we are back with the second match, and I know I'm gonna lose anyway, so I'm just gonna, because I'm terrible at this. I'm gonna do a similar setup to before, although I think I'll pick Tristan this time.
Okay.
Mind order. Right, so we were talking about music before, and I bet you didn't see that coming. That the fact that I actually played as well when I was young, for a good reason, like I mentioned. But one thing that I've been doing these past couple of months, because again we're finding ourselves with a lot more free time, is obviously I've been playing a lot of video games. But beyond that, I've actually, because I'm just a community manager. So normally all I do is talk about the games. But what I've been trying to do the last couple of months is actually learning how to make them.
Nice.
And so I've been spending a bit of time just messing around with game engines, learning Unity, played a little bit with Unreal,
Cool.
but mostly Unity. Made like a small 5-minute game, that kind of thing, just to kind of get a feel for how it all works.
Awesome.
And you kind of get an entirely new appreciation for video games if you actually know the work involved. And I'm like, considering how relatively long it took me to make a very basic 5-minute thing with no music, no actual art, I can't even imagine. I mean, there's a good reason that games take years to make, right?
Absolutely. I think it's and I think it's really cool that you've done that, because I think it's important for, whoever you are on the team. It doesn't matter if you're in marketing, if you're a producer. I think whatever role you kind of in within a video game team, I think it's important to kind of get a really good idea of kind of what everybody's role is within the studio.
Yeah.
So and trying to make your own game is a really good way of doing that, because you're essentially forced to do all of it on your own. And I think the more that everybody on the team kind of has a good idea of what everybody else on the team does, it just helps everybody synchronize so much better, and understand everybody's tasks and responsibilities and
I mean,
troubles.
Just from a practical standpoint, the fact that I'm not suddenly like a Unity expert or anything, but the fact that I know what certain things mean means that if when someone on the dev team talks to me about something, I won't just be a question mark on legs. Like,
exactly.
I'll actually know what the hell they're saying.
Yeah.
And again, like, I'll be able to ask relevant questions or expect more likely solutions to problems or whatever, because I actually know what something is and how it works. So I think that's been really helpful. So anything else you reckon? Anything else you've been doing besides music?
Playing lots of games. No.
Right.
I mean, I've also been trying to catch up on some shows and TV shows and films that people keep recommending me to watch stuff all the time, because I'm so bloody busy playing video games.
Have you finished Loop yet? We've been talking about this
finished
for
Loop
months.
now. And I was super hyped for that as well, because like I love Simon Stallhagen. I've got all of his books, and I've played his pen and paper RPG game, also called Tales from the Loop. I haven't finished it yet. I need to sit down and get that finished, because I do like it.
You need to get on it so we can discuss, because it's a weird one. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I need to. I mean, but what I've been watching is I finally decided to actually start watching all of the Studio Ghibli films.
Oh, right.
Hayao Miyazaki.
Are they all on Netflix now?
Yeah, they're all on. Well, For what I can tell, they're all on
anyway.
Netflix. Yeah. Because I've seen Spirited Away a bunch of times, because that's probably still my favourite one. But I decided, right, okay, I actually want to sit down and watch, all of these other masterpieces, which they are. They're really great. I've only watched 3 or 4 of them so far.
I think that's about what I've seen, but I saw them, the ones that I have seen when they came out. I haven't watched them in a long time.
Oh, really? You watched them when they come out?
Yeah, well, when they were available in English, so not
Right.
necessarily when they came out, because I'm sure they came out only in Japanese originally.
Got
a lot
ya.
of them.
Yeah. See, I can't.
But yeah, I've watched like what they call like Howling Castle or
Yeah, I've
that
saw
kind of
that.
stuff. But that was like again 20 years ago or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's been a long time. But yeah. So anything that you have been watching other than any shows, maybe?
I'll tell you what, not really, and that's people keep recommending me to watch stuff all the time, and I need to because they all sound great. Like some of the shows that you've been telling me to watch, like that one about Korean warriors fighting zombies, is like is an amazing pitch.
Kingdom.
Kingdom.
I mean, so there is one called Kingdom. That is like Korea, basically like a zombie type thing happens in Korea. In like medieval times or whatever. It's
Yeah,
really
I mean
cool.
it's kind of like feudal.
Yeah, it's like a feudal Japan type of setting, but obviously
Yeah.
it's in Korea, so it's not feudal Japan.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. But then there's another one, which that show's really cool, and it's I think it's only 2 seasons. So at this point, it's pretty short, pretty quick to watch. But there's another one. There's a similar name that's called The Last Kingdom.
Right.
That's about Vikings.
Nice. No
And
zombies.
that one is no zombies. But yeah, it's about the Vikings traveling to England and invade the lands, that kind of thing. So it's very much like people who might be looking forward to Assassin's Creed Valhalla
Yeah.
will be right at home there because it's that kind of setting.
Nice.
And it's really really cool. It's quite a bit longer. There's several seasons so far, but it's very well worth the watch.
Cool. Is that on Netflix?
Yes, yeah, both of them are on Netflix, at least in the UK.
I feel like we're just advertising Netflix now.
Yeah. Next, you're gonna see like sponsored by Netflix at the bottom of our videos.
HyperBrawl official TV series coming out. That's not true. I wish it was true.
I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great. HyperBrawl anime.
Right, 20-something seconds on the clock.
Okay.
Let's see. This arena is like really tricky to me because of the obstacles that just literally are anywhere at any time almost.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
wow.
Yeah, that was
very nice.
that was pretty impressive for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, mine.
There we go.
Oh man.
Yeah, I decided to double Leto. Go double Leto this match. I don't know why. Something just in my brain said it's the right thing to do.
I mean, sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Oh man. But not enough.
Oh, actually. Oh, crap. I didn't even notice the score. Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I just earned several achievements on Steam
Nice.
just indicates how rarely I win anything on this.
You see, that's because you got me talking about Miyazaki and zombies.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back just a moment with our third and final match. See you then. Right, we are back for the third match, and somehow I actually managed to win the last one. I'm not sure how that happened. I'm sure it was a fluke.
Tricks.
But for this
Treachery.
one, we are, we've picked an arena we think is appropriate for our next little topic here. Obviously, let's pick our characters. Actually, I'm gonna pick.
I think
You've also picked. I mean,
should we just
I'm gonna
have?
pick-
Should we have a full-on samurai battle? Should everybody be
yeah,
Gozen?
let's do it just for. And
Nice.
it's all swords.
Okay, all swords, sure.
All swords.
Gems.
Yeah, let's do that.
Nice.
So people that have PlayStation players might have guessed what we're about
Probably.
to talk about. But obviously, our little topic here for the third and final match, the showdown, is a game all about showdowns. Ghost of Tsushima, obviously.
Yeah.
The current samurai game, not to be confused with ninjas; they're very different. But a samurai game, and a lot of us in the studio have been playing it, and safe to say, loving it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna let you go first. So what's your opinion? How are you enjoying it so far?
I think it's a masterpiece. I think there are just lots of little things which I get really excited about. Like, so for example, the way they kind of make, you know, instead of having quest markers and you know, a compass that you need to follow, they literally make it part of the world. They have the wind, like, kind of guide you towards, you know, the way that you need to go, which to me, I get geeky over that kind of stuff, just because I really love when developers find ways to it's like
change the game.
Exactly. Well, they kind of marry the theme and the gameplay and, like, you know, merge them into one just wonderful magical idea. Like, yeah, stuff like that. I love.
It's kind of, in a weird way, it's almost like narrative design. Like, the gameplay is so intertwined with the theme and the game and everything.
For sure.
It's brilliant. But I think it's more than just the wind directing you. It's that the animals will supplement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes if you're close to something, and you're trying to use the touchpad to prompt the wind.
Yeah.
So instead of like having to spam that for like a minute while you run towards something, if you're close enough to certain things, a bird will appear and that will kind of guide you the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And it just, again, like, just a small touch. Again, the foxes that can guide you toward things, and
cute.
There's so many cool things. Just everything is tied together so well.
It's also it's kind of funny how it literally, this game, more than most other games I've played recently on PlayStation, it's like the way they've built it. It's the kind of game which only can be played on PlayStation because of the way they've made the touchpad. So, you know, so kind of important to the control scheme, because, you know, stuff like the D-pad and stuff, they kind of control other things, don't they? Like being able to change your sub abilities and stuff like that kind of mid-fight.
Well, the D-pad is like photo mode and that kind of stuff.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, the touchpad is like several buttons. Is it 5 buttons? I don't even remember if you can just push it. But like swiping up or down, left or right, all does different things.
Yeah, they do all different things.
So it's just like adds so many more buttons to the controller, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But it's funny because obviously the touchpad, you know, initially one of the key pillars, I guess, of the PS4 in the reveal, and it's kind of like not that many games have used it in particularly interesting ways for years.
Yeah.
But now we're getting this, and it uses it perfectly.
Exactly.
It kind of makes the whole feature like come full circle.
Yeah.
Now they're back to like completely utilizing the touchpad in all the best ways.
Because what I think is a stroke of genius is, I was looking for them because like when I was doing combat and stuff, I was like, oh, I wish there was a dedicated button to pull out my sword and put my sword back in. And when I discovered the way to do that is you swipe right on the touchpad, so you're literally kind of simulating the action of, you know, pulling the sword from, you know, using your right hand to kind of pull it that way. I was like blown away because I just thought that was I thought that was amazing. I kind of
it's such a cool detail.
It just feels great to do. Like, as opposed to just pressing a button, you actually do have to simulate that action of swiping your sword out of the sheath. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that kind of little stuff I go crazy for.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of going crazy, I mean, the photo mode in this game in Ghost of Tsushima is insane. I mean, and the fact that it's not just photo mode; it's basically a video mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's just so well done. I find myself, I think, honestly, 20% of all my time played is in photo mode.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that is sharing stuff on Twitter, a lot of insane moments. And sometimes I'm looking at something that might seem mundane, but then 2 minutes later, or half an hour later, because I just get swept up, it'll just look like the most insane scene, because you can make anything into the most stunning thing you've ever seen.
Yeah. And I think it's just also, since we're both in the marketing team, we both know how important animated GIFs are. I like to say GIFs, but we won't get into that. I'll say GIFs to accommodate you.
Good man.
Yeah, we both know how important animated GIFs are to they're just a really strong marketing tool as far as social content goes. So being able to not only take screenshots, but to actually to essentially capture animated scenes, they're just like really powerful for a game in this day and age. I think any game which has a photo mode in, it's just got so much of a greater chance of being a kind of, you know, going a bit more viral on the old interwebs. I mean, just because of the ability to share cool stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously that's not really maybe as necessary for all types of games. Like, I think a photo mode in HyperBrawl I don't think would do much But just same as a photo mode in FIFA wouldn't really. I mean, who would?
Exactly.
Like, what's the moment where you're holding the ball and it's such a beautiful? You know what I mean? It's not quite the same.
I think
before anyone out there has any fun ideas about photo mode in this, I wouldn't expect it. But who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea is that with HyperBrawl, all the action happens there on screen. You know what I mean? So it's like you can super easily get a taste for HyperBrawl just by kind of watching that gameplay. You can kind of get a taste of the beauty of it, whereas a game like Ghost of Tsushima, you kind of need that. I mean, the game looks beautiful anyway, but it's kind of heightened by the fact that you can kind of control that cinematic experience, which is what that game is all about, whereas that's not the case with HyperBrawl.
Yeah. Yeah, HyperBrawl is more about the moment-to-moment competition and action. And considerably less gore, I guess. And we don't have any decapitations.
We turned that down early on in development. Yeah, we turned that
at least
off.
not at this moment. We shall see.
Yeah, if you want photo mode and gore in HyperBrawl, then let us know at HyperBrawl.
So yeah, I mean, I think obviously we could probably spend the next 5 hours talking about Ghost of Tsushima, but
yeah,
we've got like 20 seconds left on the clock. So I guess any closing words, any final thoughts you want to share? What's your favorite thing in the game so far?
About Ghost of Tsushima, I think just how addictive combat is. I think it's just so super simple. Like, again, how we like to describe HyperBrawl. It's easy to pick up, but it can get complicated when you kind of want to change stances mid-combat. And it makes you feel like a badass. It makes you feel like a technical combat master when you're kind of changing stances mid-combat in order to tackle these different enemy types. And it just looks cool. The animations are awesome, and it makes you just feel great. Makes you feel like a samurai.
I could not have said that much better myself, but obviously because we have now entered sudden death.
Yeah, speaking of duels.
Speaking of duels, yeah. I would add probably that. Again, the photo mode is just incredible. I think you can make the most mundane thing just look incredible, and again it suddenly becomes fun to even show off a lantern. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You change the weather and the sun, and it's a perfect shot. Right, so we're back in free play. Duke, how do you think our Blitz matches went? I mean, obviously, someone won.
It was pretty successful for me, although it was a lot closer than I thought it would be. So, good games.
Yeah, good game indeed. And obviously, we have more of those coming in the future. But with that, we're at the end of our video. We hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully, you've learned a little bit about HyperBrawl and a little bit about some movies and piano and Ghost of Tsushima and whatever else that might strike your fancy. If you have any feedback about this video, anything you want us to cover in the future, any topics you want us to talk about, let us know in the comments or on Discord or social, whatever. You know where to find us. But yeah, with that, thanks guys for watching. Thank you, Luke, for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Again, my name is K.A. And it's been a pleasure. See you guys next time.
See ya. First time.
Oh, dude, nice. First try. I mean, that didn't take like 45 minutes or anything.
No. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy.